The Notion bar just sort of grew organically at the beginning of the pandemic. Like everyone else, I was bored at home and I realized, hey, I'm kind of good at this Notion thing. I don't know, maybe someone will pay me for it. And so I put myself on Fiverr and I just got overwhelmed with requests. I had no idea that there was even a whole Notion community or anything like that. This was just a thing that I was using for work.
Hey, Carl, how's it going, man?
Shawn, what's up? How you been, man? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, yeah. Yeah, now that we're in September, it feels just like September's moving so fast right now, and that transition from the summertime to back into work, back to school has definitely sped a lot of things up. So yeah, it's been a fun ride this month. How about you?
It's been good. It's been good. Are you a fall guy? Like I like fall. I love summer, but I also like fall. Are you a fall guy?
I do. I love the change in the weather for sure, and the back to school theme. It works for me, but it also brings a lot of okay, time to ramp up too. So and my birthday's in the fall too, so I am a big fan of this time of year. So, but
Okay.
yeah, man. So, but hey, everybody out there, welcome back to a brand new episode of As Is To Be, where we like to unpack and go unplugged with transformation and how to really enable change in our day-to-day life, be it our careers or relationships and ourselves. I'm your co-host, Shawn. I'm a digital transformation specialist.
And I'm Reid. I go by Creed. I'm also a digital transformation specialist.
Right on. And today we have a super duper special guest. I'd like to introduce you to Frances Odera Matthews. Thanks for joining us today, Frances.
Hello. Wonderful to be here today. Thank you for having me. I'm also a digital transformation specialist.
All right. Two peas in the pod. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So let me tell you a little bit about Frances. Is based in York, United Kingdom, and is the founder of the Notion Bar, where she specializes as a certified Notion consultant, coach, template builder, helping people and small businesses level up through their services and products. She started in her business in June of 2020 and has become a real thought leader in the Notion community, giving talks, public speaking engagements, and building a large following on Twitter based on her unique style and committed aesthetics, usability and infusion of pop culture into the Notion projects. So it's no longer just a technology, but really an experience. And, overall, we're just super pleased. And, again, welcome you here today, Frances.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, very excited to chat about Notion, my favorite thing these days, or at least within the last year. It's definitely become my life, essentially.
Right. Well, I'm excited as well. I love Notion. A matter of fact, I think that's where I connected with you. Mm-hmm. There was a Notion seminar, and they were laying out the different Notion capabilities and some net new features. But there were some breakout sessions where specialists like yourself was running them. And when I came to yours was very unique, right? You're a productivity guru, you're a digital transformation specialist, but I found that yours was a lot more organic and a lot more real. It wasn't so rigid, right? And there was charisma, and you made it fun and very well engaging. So I said, okay, I definitely want to connect with you to see the other side of Notion, the human side, so to speak.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that session was about aesthetics and how you can bring aesthetics into Notion. That's sort of how I created a name for myself in the Notion world, is that I didn't really see Notion as this productivity app. I saw it more of it as a blank digital canvas, and like while you can do all of these amazing productive things on it, it doesn't have to look boring. It can look great, and actually aesthetics and having something that feels like you makes you more likely to use the system, in my opinion, because you're not like, it doesn't feel like work when you walk into it. It feels like fun.
Yeah, yeah, I echo that. Well said. Let me get more a background before the Notion. Who was Frances? So I want to know, maybe, like, I know well, let me just ask. So tell me the background. How did you start with Notion Bar? How did you become this pro funtivity individual? Let me give some background of Frances before everything started.
Yeah, so I have a pretty varied background. So I've worked in a lot of different industries, be it event management, creative agencies, UX, e-commerce. At school, I was always the person who was in all of the clubs. Like, I was president of social board. So I've always had sort of these two halves to me. I'm a Gemini. So on like one hand,
I'm a Capricorn.
There we go.
Yeah. What are you, Shawn?
Scorpio.
Yeah.
There we go. So I've always had this really like logical and organized side to my life. Like in all of the jobs that I've gone into, I've always been like the digital transformation person or like the project manager saying like, okay, this is how this is going to run now. Like, this is how we can make this better. But then on the other half, I love pop culture and aesthetics and lifestyle brands, and those are the things that I really grew up on. And so the Notion Bar just sort of grew organically at the beginning of the pandemic. Like everyone else, I was bored at home, and I realized, hey, I'm kind of good at this Notion thing. I don't know, maybe someone will pay me for it. And so I put myself on Fiverr, and I just got overwhelmed with requests. I had no idea that there was even a whole Notion community or anything like that. This was just a thing that I was using for work, and I was like helping our company out with like making our processes better, etc. But then as I got more and more into the Notion community, I realized that no one was using Notion in the way that I thought it could be used. Like, no one was making it fun or like accessible. And it was very like the people in the community, for the most part, like I didn't really see anyone who looked like me that I could relate to, that was like young or a minority or just like anyone that I could relate to. And so I wanted to become that person. And it's cool to see more diverse people in the Notion community now, and them reaching out to me and saying like, hey, I've seen all your content. It's been really inspiring. And now I use Notion. Like, thank you for doing what you do. And so, I just wanted to kind of expose more people to Notion in a more accessible way. Somehow I grew a lot of traction and traffic and support, which has been incredible, to the point where a few months ago I quit my day job. And at the time I was a project manager at a Shopify agency, and I started doing Notion builds for clients full time and selling my templates and creating content. And it's been a very exciting journey. I still feel like I'm at the beginning of it, but we'll see where it goes.
Awesome. And so I'm definitely looking to explore and really use it to help solve. So Carl first introduced me to the Notion platform, and it's something that he's shared with me and has helped keep us organized a lot. And I saw it in relation to my day-to-day as a consultant, especially in a pandemic era. One of the biggest challenges that I have is facilitating information gathering sessions. And typically you have people from different walks of life coming together, and we're discussing things, throwing ideas on a whiteboard, sticky notes, and creating that same collaborative, engaging experience, but then doing it online is one of the biggest challenges that I'm having now. And so I wanted to ask, like, how can Notion help someone like me or other consultants out there in this regard?
Absolutely. So that's a use case that people are talking more and more about, and more people are using Notion for. And essentially what you're asking is kind of a client portal, like a project portal where everyone can collaborate. And that was something which I helped my last agency out with. I kind of completely transformed our process and just streamlined everything into Notion to keep track of all of the project notes and areas where we could like mind map with the client and just like have a space where everyone could collaborate on what's going on. And so I actually turned that into a template of mine, which is doing really well. I could happily give you like a quick demo of it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Like show you what that looks like.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
So essentially what's great about Notion is that you can preload it with your entire process, essentially. And so you can create templates and you can edit them. So if something changes in your workflow, you can just edit that and it will copy over to all of your future projects that you create. So for example, this is the front page of the client portal template that I have. Anything that's archived, you can drag it into there. And essentially this button is magical. If you click it, it just creates a new client portal for you that you can share with the client. Just do a quick hard refresh of this page. It's gonna be loaded up like so, or at least in a couple of seconds. But anyways, you can edit this block. So I clicked on the cog there and I can go into here and explore the template. And so you can rebrand this however you wanted to. So as a consultant, you can put like the logo up here, or maybe even the client's logo and then your company name up here. And it just gives them like a really nice professional experience. And so you'd invite them into the portal with their email. And so you'd replace, obviously when you duplicate the template, you'd replace their name and everything. And you have a project portal that you can edit as well. And so like the idea is that this is the homepage for all of the projects that you have with your client or the other parties that you're working with, essentially. So you can go back through and look at all of your past work, and you can edit this too. So down here, if you ever had a new project, you just click on this, but this is hidden as kind of like an admin area. But you'd go into here and you have kind of a nice homepage for the project, very simple, straight to the point. With Notion, you can essentially make this anything you want it to be, but for now, I've given some starters. So it's a way where you can display information like start date, end date really easily. You could also create a calendar for this in Notion. It's very simple. But then if you have questions that you ask every single time for every project, you could pre-fill your client portal template with all of those questions, so that when you duplicate it, you just have all of those questions ready to go, and then you can go in as a team and like answer them, essentially, which is really cool. So it's completely editable and flexible for you, essentially.
See that?
That's really smart.
Yeah, and then you can create all of these like tasks for each team member. And so you can create like cool Kanban boards and like drag and drop them and like see who you can assign different people to things. And what's cool as well is because this is the template, you can preload this Kanban board up with tasks that you need to do every time so that they're just ready to go when you like click the portal. All you have to do is change the client name, essentially. And like instead of messy emails, what's cool about Notion as well is that you can chat to each other directly in the comments about that specific task, instead of, you get those email threads where they've put like 10 or like 10 to 20 action items, and you have to copy and paste the 10 to 20 action items and like reply back in red. And it's just really, no one knows the status of anything. It's really messy, really not great. So instead, why not have each action item be its own separate card where you can put it in different statuses, and like, you know when it's done, because it will just go like down here in the completed archive bit. And yeah, you can make this super, super flexible to you. And it's just a nice way to have everything to do with that project or that like workshop in one place, essentially. And yeah, as I said, you can pre-fill your client portal template with anything that's relevant to you and your like consulting process, essentially. So like you can even put like resources down here, so like upload files, the whole 9 yards. And yeah, track deliverables, just like whatever works for you, your process, essentially, which is the cool thing about Notion. And the way to add blocks in Notion is you can literally embed anything you want. So you can create subpages, calendars, like I mentioned before, inline tables, or you can even embed videos. So if you have like a onboarding process, you can just put that video in there for your like group or client to watch. And just, yeah, automating processes is the way forward.
Wow. As you're showing me, I'm seeing like in my regular day-to-day, it's like at least 5 different apps open, from my calendar to my project management tools to even a Kanban board. That is extremely helpful. All integrated as one experience.
Exactly.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely super flexible. And yeah, just like my favorite thing about Notion is how flexible it is. So instead of being stuck in someone else's like infrastructure that they've built, like you can add bits of your own infrastructure without having to like be a developer, which is just great, really cool virtual experiences, and cool and professional looking virtual experiences, which is exciting.
Yeah. I like it, how you put it. It's very collaborative and extremely dynamic, but I like how you have the little twist. When you first opened, I saw little logos of your Notion bar, which is quite cool. But you had me at Kanban. As soon as you said Kanban, I was like, I'm engaged. And this is really why I really love this tool. It's a great database, but from a project management perspective, I absolutely love using it. But as a continuous improvement specialist, I always want to improve. So I want to hear from you. What are some project management tips, the best way this could be utilized from a project management perspective? I assume Kanban's in here, but is there anything else that we can learn and develop on our own as well?
Absolutely. And so when I was a project manager at that Shopify agency, I used a much more complicated version of this, which was very specific to Shopify. But what I found actually was one of my favorite pages was this risk assessment page. And so before any project, you should always identify the red flags and just hash them out with the client first and foremost. So just having an area that is dedicated towards that is incredibly useful. And then yes, you have these status sections here, which you could turn into a Kanban if you wanted to. Like, it's so easy. Like, you can just make that into a board view, and now the cards are in Kanban form, and you can go into each one and then go back into and it's right here in the same view, and you can choose which view works for you. You could sort this by status if you wanted to. You can create different views for what you need at that time, which is why I think a lot of people love Notion, is that you can see what you want to see and how the data is useful to you, essentially. So like, yeah, now it's sorted it, and yeah, it's so useful. And another cool thing is in here is that it makes Notion is really great for tracking feedback. So this is probably one of the most successful features at my old, like when I was using Notion with my old agency, is just tracking feedback. So each one of these line items here is a deliverable, and if you click into it, you have a Kanban board for the feedback. And this is This is a template as well. So you just click new page, and boom, you put the page name here. The client can go in, or the group or the workshop or whomever can go in and say like, hey, this is my bit of feedback. You can chat about the different bits of feedback, the individual bits of feedback with them. And then you can say when a bit of feedback needs more client input, or if you're the person who's working on the feedback, you can say, okay, I'm doing that feedback now. Or maybe you're the project manager and you're saying, actually, this is out of scope. That bit of feedback is on hold. Thank you very much. And then you can keep track of what feedback is complete, and you have full receipts. So if someone on the project says, hey, I'd like the background color to be green, you can go in and say, well, on September 17th, you said you wanted it to be red.
We got those notes.
Exactly. Yeah, it's great. And just attaching files and checking when things, like marking when bits of work are signed off. It's just so convenient and refreshing just to know what's going on and just have one place to go to know what's going on.
Yeah, I love it. I have a follow-up. Now, for those that are, we're professionals and we're used to, and we're hearing these terms, what about the students, the individuals that can be using this, not from a professional perspective, but to get this for maybe their startup, or working for school? And also, I wouldn't mind seeing some more of that aesthetic, pleasing components that you have. Is there something you want to share that is a different base that can use this?
Yeah, absolutely. So students love Notion. So this is one of my Notion templates, actually. It's called the Aesthetic Student Dashboard on my website, I believe. And so this is like, you can create a whole dashboard for your semester, essentially. And so I just kind of tried to make it fun with some images and stuff like that. I think I redid it actually, so it's got a whole new look now on my website, so you'll have to go and check it out. But I just tried to really have fun and put color in here, and the whole idea is that if you're a student, you can create these dashboards for your semester, and then you can have like notebooks in the form of these tiles for each class. So I graduated from college. I went to college in the States actually, in 2018, and I just remember carrying around super